JeremyCordeaux.com, although we are trying to think of a new call sign or something for it, but until we do, JeremyCordeaux.com, 9 till 12, the Court of Public Opinion, live streaming every Friday for 3 hours and taking your calls, and being visited by interesting people like Mr. Bob Byrne.
Jeremy.
Are you well?
I am indeed. I was just commenting that you're back in your natural environment, surrounded by microphones and technical gear and wires and
yes, it's a little hairy, Bob, a little hairy, because it's quite amazing what you can do with little bits and pieces of more modern equipment.
The internet has given us a world. It's an amazing thing. Once upon a time, the media was owned by just a handful of very powerful people. Now it's in the hands of whoever wants to make the effort.
Well, that's democracy, and I like the sound of that, because if you can spread something like the power of the media, and you do it effectively, I think you introduce a whole lot of new ideas.
Yes, well, it can be a good thing, and it can also be a bad thing, but obviously you are doing it for good. And
I'm doing it to, I suppose, be different.
Yes.
I don't want to follow what I listen to the radio, as you probably listen to the radio.
I do.
And I am critical, so I don't want to go down that same path. I certainly want to take whatever criticism people want to make of what we're doing, but I certainly want to be free of the woke. I want to be free of the political correctness.
Oh, yes. Well, I think that's a wise way to travel. Go woke, go broke.
Yeah, I think that is true. This is, in effect, where woke comes to die.
Yes.
This program.
Well, there's maybe the new name for your new radio station. Deadwoke.com.
I'm not even sure where the word woke came from. What's the origin?
I have no idea what it actually stands for, but I do know what it means. And, there's a lot of people who are desperately opposed to it, but don't really know how to say anything about it. I mean, look, there are some good things about it, I guess, in terms of, there are people who I think have been given more of a fair go. You and I think, got a fair go when we were young.
Yes.
We didn't have to climb any ladders or go up against people who were opposed to us for skin color or name or political persuasion or religious persuasion. And so I think those people have benefited enormously, as they should. But then there's a lot of silly stuff that goes on as well.
But the world has always been tribal.
Yes, very much so.
I can remember, at school they would beat me up because I had a French name, and they'd beat up that other bloke over there because he had a German name, and then there was somebody over here who was a bit different, had red hair maybe, and they would beat him up.
Yeah.
And, there was prejudice against, I'm not Catholic, but I think there was prejudice against Catholics for a long, long time. There's prejudice against Jews.
I never felt... I was Catholic. I never felt prejudice, but that's probably because I went to a Catholic school and mixed with my own.
Well, it's tribalism.
Absolutely. And then maybe, I never tried to get a job or break into something that was opposed to Catholics. So I never felt that kind of opposition.
No, but the tribal thing is fascinating because somebody told me the other day that people would go and join the Masons because you'd be on your way if you were a Mason, and somebody in a higher position would be obligated to give you a hand up the ladder or whatever that was.
Yes.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. People belong to a club. They like their own. They support their own. I think it's probably inevitable. But you can't look at human nature, which, as I say, is basically tribal, and then find fault with every aspect of it and try and dismantle it.
No. And you are right. And I've often said I've read a lot of books about anthropology and love to dabble in that field. I certainly wouldn't say that I'm any expert at it, but I often say and explain to people that it is an inbuilt thing for humans to be racist because that's how we lived. That's how we survived.
That's right.
Millions of years ago when we first fell out of the tree, our group, our tribe, would protect ourselves. And if somebody from another tribe, and indeed it still happens today in countries like New Guinea, where there is still a lot of tribal life, if you step foot into another tribe's land and you are killed because of it, there is understanding. You stepped into an area that you shouldn't have gone. But having said all that, I think that, we need to now realize that we're in the 21st century and there's been a lot of education, and we do understand that human beings are, by and large, the same, no matter what colour, size, religion,
but
etc.
are you ever going to get rid of the basic thing of human nature?
Well, it's built in. It's built into your head.
It's in the DNA.
Yeah, absolutely correct. But with education, we can educate people and tell people and they can learn that that although it's a natural kind of instinct, it's not.
No, I know.
It's not right for us to do it. And every other person is a human being, the same as we are.
What do you think of the voice? What are you going to? You don't have to tell me which way you're going to go, but you got an opinion?
Well, I do. I have mixed opinions. I would love to see the Aboriginal people recognised as the original owners of this land. Which
but they are. They are.
Of course they were. They were the first here.
Yes.
And my other feeling about it is, I'd certainly vote yes there.
Yeah.
But the other areas of the voice, I'm unsure. So I need more information, and I think that's where a lot of people are sitting at the moment. Let's find out some more. Let's get some more information.
Yeah.
And let's work out how we're going to vote with this.
I've just handed this. Thank you, Caroline. Warren Mundine changes his travel plans after Qantas starts on The Voice. Leading No campaigner Warren Mundine has changed his travel plans after airline Qantas revealed its support for the Indigenous voice to Parliament. I've now had to shift my travel to Virgin, Mr. Mundine told Sky News. They haven't got, stuff all over their aeroplanes or their staff yet.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a mistake for organisations, businesses especially, to start making those decisions and, start taking sides because, as has been said many times, political, they're making a stand on a political issue is not a wise thing.
No, I know. I've reached the stage in life where I don't care if I believe something. I'm just not going to sit on the fence. And I have listened a lot to 3AW and 2GB, and some of those presenters are quite opinionated. Others sort of say, well, look, I can see on one hand this, and then on the other hand this.
Yes.
So it's kind of like straddling the fence.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's a good thing for talk radio. We were never in...
Oh, no.
We were never told what to say, were we?
No. And in fact, we were encouraged to say things that might create more calls that would create some kind of ruckus out there in the community. Let's stir everybody up.
Absolutely. You don't want people sitting around agreeing with you.
No, that's right. Absolutely.
People want to ring up and tear your ears off. I mean, that's entertainment.
Yeah, my mentor, Keith Graham, he would quite often, if he were at a party, for example, and he was involved in a discussion, he might say, well, I'm certainly voting yes for The Voice.
And
even though he would be planning on voting no or whatever, but he would go in and give the totally opposing view to what he actually believed in.
Yeah, well, it stirred the pot.
It stirred the pot, but it also helped him sharpen his own argument and his own argumentative skills.
Tell me about Keith Graham. What was he?
Keith was the manager of 2GO originally.
Oh, 2GO.
Yeah, and then eventually became head of 2WS, and then the 2WS network he built, which eventually I think bought Oz Stereo. By then, Keith had passed away, of course, but he was a genius of radio, and indeed in the eastern states of Australia today, there are still some awards in his name because he was such a leader and a great mentor.
I wonder if today we'll throw up similar people of caliber. I don't know, but I can remember. Well, of course, there was Paul Linkson, who was important in both our lives at 5DN.
Yes,
and people like Stan Clark at 2GB was very significant in my life.
Yes,
and Perce Campbell, who was the station manager at 2GB.
Yeah, I knew Perce. Yes.
Did you ever work for 2UE?
No, I didn't. No.
Yeah.
No.
The Lamb family were important in radio.
Yes.
Paul Thompson was terribly important here in Adelaide.
Yes, here in Adelaide. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All of these people should not be, while they're alive and running around, we should be using their smarts.
Yes, I mean... it's
Paul is alive and kicking. He's fine.
Well, I would love to get him along to one of our Rats lunches, Paul Thompson, but I haven't had the opportunity yet to do that.
Tell us about the Rats lunch.
Well, okay, so Rats is a group of radio and television, well, we call them stayers, because we've stayed.
Lasters.
Yeah, well, we've lasted. So we're Rats, and 2 or 3 times a year we get together and we have lunch. You've been to a number of them yourself.
Yep.
And we try and get somebody interesting to join us on stage and maybe have a bit of a chat about their life and about what their role was or is in the media. And certainly I would love to get Paul Thompson there. I never worked for Paul, but I missed him a couple of times. I left 5KA just before he arrived, and I almost worked at 2GB just before he took the radio station over. So he and I have often laughed about the fact that we never actually got to work together. But I admired the work that he did. I think he was a great leader. And
well, Life Station, was it Life Station?
Yes, 5KA. Yes.
Yeah, Tony Denton's got a whole lot of 5KA stuff. I don't know actually where he got it from.
Right.
2001. 5KA reunion.
Yes, I went to that at Memorial Drive, no, Memorial Oval, at the Oval there. Memorial Oval, sorry. Adelaide Oval. I'm getting my cities confused. And yes, they had a big marquee out the back of the grandstand, and we all partied on in there until very late in the morning.
Memories.
Yes.
Did you ever work for 5AD?
Oh, yes, I worked at 5AD from 1970 to 1972. It was my first tilted talk radio because Trevor Cowling, for some unknown reason, figured I could talk. I was only, how old would I be?
We were young.
I was only in my 20s, and Trevor, for some unknown reason, teamed me up with Lois Grant, and we had the Rob and Lois show.
Yeah, I remember that name.
And
was Sue Fraser there in those days?
No. Sue was still at 5AU back in those days, or by then she was still at 5AU.
Well, she's another great person of radio. And Bob Francis.
Oh, yes.
Was he manager at the time?
No. Manager in those days was Sutton, Ian Sutton.
Oh. Jim Sutton.
Jim Sutton. Yes. And Trevor Cowling was program manager, and Dick Moore was still there, the legendary radio announcer of the 1950s. And now I know Dick's son extremely well. Does a little bit of accounting work for me. So if you're listening.
Small world.
Yeah.
It's a small one and even smaller town. Now, you'll remember when, because I've spoken to you a couple of times about when your books have come out.
Oh, yes.
You doing another one?
Yes. Possibly. There possibly be maybe another one.
Why wouldn't you do a radio show based on that simple format?
Well, I do some segments on air on an opposing radio station.
You mean one of the old-fashioned ones?
Yes, one of those bricks and mortar things. Yeah. And just segments. I often think that the talk station here in Adelaide missed a great opportunity when I proposed to them the idea that, in Melbourne, there's been a Remember program on Sunday nights, and Saturday and Sunday nights for years and years.
3AW,
with Bruce Mansfield and Philip Brady.
Philip Brady, yeah.
And it rated so well on weekends, they eventually put it on every night of the week.
Well, good, understandable.
And I approached the said radio station here in Adelaide and suggested to them that I think it would work very well on a Sunday night, because whenever I go on air and talk about things that used to be, remember when we did this, remember when, we have lots and lots of phone calls. And it's a topic that people love. People love to remember what. But anyway,
it's a wonderful common denominator.
Yes, and I thought it would have been a great radio show, but nevertheless,
Oh well, look,
that doesn't really matter.
I couldn't count the number of shows I've pitched to various people along the way.
Yes,
it's the journey.
Yes, it is, and I still write for the Advertiser. As amazingly enough, Rupert's still paying me. I get a shock every 3 months when he sends me a check to say yes. Well, not he sends it to me personally.
Have you ever met him?
No, I've never met Rupert. No. But friends of mine knew him quite well because they knew him while he was here at the news.
Yes.
So they knew him in those very early days. Yeah. But no, I've never met him. But he still pays me to write a column, and which is absolutely fantastic. I still get a surprise every 3 months when it turns up to say, "Yep, we'll go again for another 3 months."
They will not keep us down.
No, gosh,
Bob, it's wonderful to see you. Thank you very much for coming in.
My pleasure.